Welcome, Pedalheads, to another edition of Pedal TV News. I am your host, Eddie Monster, and this is episode 4. As you all know, this is the new show that has replaced the podcast, so thank you for joining me here as I read to you all the more important news stories going on in the rock and metal world. And as always, if you want to follow the show and keep with everything that we're doing, hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate every single one of you. So, without further ado, let's start the news. And this is a story that, unfortunately, you hate to start with something like this, but, you know, Ross Friedman, a.k.a. Ross the Boss, has passed away at the age of 72. As you all know, he was a founding member of bands like The Dictators and Man of War. And here's a statement that the Metal Hall of Fame wrote in his honor. It is with deep sadness that we confirm the passing of legendary guitarist, our dear friend, and Metal Hall of Fame inductee Ross the Boss Friedman. Ross was a pioneering force in both punk and heavy metal. Best known as a founding member of The Dictators and Man of War, Ross will always be the Metal Hall of Fame's global metal ambassador to the world. His powerful playing, unmistakable tone, and uncompromising spirit helped shape generations of musicians and fans around the world. So I just wanted to take the time and send my condolences to all the friends and family of Ross the Boss. Everybody here at Pedal to the Metal knows how important you were to the metal scene, especially Man of War. You know what I mean? They have the guts to come out in those loincloths. I'm just saying. Anyways, this one, as of the recording of this, it just came up on my news feed, so unfortunately I didn't have anything to set this up, but I'm gonna talk about it real quick with some assistance here. Boys Set Fire co-founding drummer Matt Krupansky has sadly passed away. Remember, he played with Boys Set Fire from 1994 to 2007, and then again from 2010 to 2012. But here's a statement from the band. We hate to write this today. The BSF family lost one of our founding members, our drummer Matt Krupansky. Words are failing us. Snapshots of memories skitter through our mind. Picking him up for our very first tour from high school, which his parents had to give permission to leave early. Writing ATE and Rookie in his parents' basement, smoking cigars on the beach in North Carolina after playing a very misleading bed and breakfast. No bed or breakfast. His weird-ass drumming gang with Tucker from Thursday, Mike from The Souls, and Brandon from Rise Against. Abusing Tony Victory's open bar tab in Chicago. Our intense Madden games, which often led to near violence. Not even kidding. Matt playing in guitar in Pussy Tim and the Motherfuckers, a side project that wasn't real at what we thought was a sparsely attending festival, but when the lights came up, there were 25,000 people there. There is so much more. We are so fucking sorry, George. We are so sorry, Carla. We are so sorry, Mark and Melissa. And our heart breaks for his daughter, Georgie. We are so sorry. We are gutted. Our hearts are shredded. We lost a brother today. We are planning on a fundraiser for Georgie, maybe for college or whatever the family decides. Matt, you are missed, and we love you. Always sucks when somebody passes away way too soon. So my condolences to all of his friends and family as well. This next story, oh man, I have been avoiding this for a couple weeks now. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to address it, but the fact that somebody else had to come out and address what was going on is just showing you the sad state that we're still in this world. So basically, here's the deal. Caleb Shomo of Beartooth recently unveiled a new look. Okay, he unveiled a more androgynous look, which is cool or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? It's believed that it's more true to who he is. That's what we've been told. And then all of a sudden, some knucklehead from Florida named Chris Frosniak or whatever the hell his name is, from that terrible band Attila, right, who used to be cool back in the old days when they had the albums like Rage Haven't been cool since he joined OnlyFans. He's one of those guys. Came out and made a very nasty statement that obviously he had to backtrack and he had to apologize for because he's a douche. But thankfully, people like David Draymond of Disturbed have come out and have expressed their support of Caleb and his decisions on what he's going to look like in music videos and whatnot. But Caleb obviously had to come out and he had to explain himself, which he shouldn't have, but he did. And here's the statement. I don't make this art solely to be gaining fans and solely for monetary success and critical success and all those things. Truth be told, especially with free, I'm really doing this for myself. I'm doing this just so I can really be putting out the most honest art that I can be putting out and be the most true depiction of myself through my art that I can give. Because that's the point of Beartooth. And I don't really want to shy away from that. He continues, I at least currently am trying not to focus at all and am really actively going to stay away from hearing any of the critical reception. Obviously, on a broader scale, I see if people are listening to it. I see if people are coming to our shows, so on and so forth. But I think everybody's entitled to their opinion, and there are just inevitably going to be a lot of people that don't like the way this sounds, or maybe they don't like the way I look, or the way I'm dancing, or what I'm wearing, or whatever that may be. And again, that's up to them. And all I'm trying to do is just be as honest as I can and enjoy this very, very amazing gift that I have of being able to be in a band, and that's my job, and make the art that I want to make. I understand how rare it is. Again, he shouldn't have to explain anything. He doesn't owe me or anybody else in the world anything. Nothing. You don't owe us an explanation. Nothing. Some of my favorite singers in the world have been, people that have been androgynous in their look. So I dig it. All power to you, Caleb. Rock on. In other news, Alt Metal Gods, Seven Dust. That's right. Having a new album coming out called One. It's out May 19th. But bet you didn't know this. Bet you didn't know that the band was almost going to call it quits. That's right. Morgan Rose really recently spoke out about it, saying this. We went through this period of time where we just weren't touring as much. We were kind of thinking that we were going to land the plane a little bit, like, let's slow it down to a farewell thing, which we had discussed for sure. And then some other things happened, and we decided, you know what, instead of parking the car here, why don't we just put it all the way into drive, like all the way in, and let's tour like harder than we've ever toured and just burn the car out. Like, let's tackle things that we haven't done. So that happened just overnight. It was a decision that went from we're going to retire to no. We're actually going to put the afterburner on now. He would go on to talk about how, like, this was such a recent decision, right? Like, it was just a year and a half ago they were talking about this, and all of a sudden they made their switch. I, for one, am somebody that truly appreciates Seven Dust. I remember seeing them for the first time at Ozfest 98, and then having the opportunity to actually interview LJ from Seven Dust, which was one of the coolest things. I did it at the Rockstar Uproar Festival, and it was one of the more funny occasions that I've ever had. Morgan had stepped out of the bus while we were doing the interview, and for some reason the alarm kept going off when we were trying to start, and it kept going off, and then LJ looks at Morgan like, dude, what the fuck, we're trying to, funny moment. So I'm glad that they didn't call it quits. They're an awesome band. I love Seven Dust, always have, All right, another news. Since 2022, we've been hearing about a new King Diamond record for like forever now, right? And everybody's wondering what is going on. When are we going to get it? Well, Andy LaRocque recently cleared the air and said that they are hoping for a 2026 release of the album. And that's all they really can do is just hope that it's going to come out. If you want to listen to the whole interview, make sure you check out the podcast, Pod Scum. You can hear the whole interview with Andy LaRocque there. But speaking of Andy LaRocque, in other news, 4 former members of King Diamond and Pagan's Mind vocalist have formed a new band. That's right. It's called Lex Legion. And the band is made up of Pete Black, bassist Hal Patino, Andy LaRocque, Mickey D, and vocalist Nihilus Rue. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. Anyways, so this is the first time since the albums Them and Conspiracy that these four members of King Diamond have ever been on the same record. Obviously, for those of you that know, Mickey D went on to be in Motorhead. He left King Diamond, joined Motorhead, and then eventually the Scorpions before ultimately leaving that project and doing this. Or I think he might still be with Scorpions, who knows. But all I know is they've got a self-titled album that they're going to be putting out, and I, for one, cannot wait to listen to what these guys have in store for all of us. They're saying that it's traditional, like, heavy metal, but not like King Diamond. So not as progressive, they said, as King Diamond, but badass. So be on the lookout for that. All right, Dimmu Borgir has announced that they've got a new album. I'm freaking excited. I've been waiting for this for such a long time. I'm a huge Dimmu Borgir fan. And they've got a new album coming out called The Grand Serpent Rising. That's right. And they announced this after unleashing their brand new single, which I know I'm going to screw this up. It's like Ovglad and Bloodsdale, like Bloodisdale, something like that. Let's check out a preview of it. All right, make sure you go and check that out. It's their first album since 2018's Anonian. And here's what the band had to say about the song. I truly feel we've outdone ourselves musically on this album. It's been a long and demanding process, but seeing how it all came together makes it incredibly rewarding. Grand Serpent Rising reflects every era of Dimmu Borgir. This album carries echoes of every chapter of Dimmu Borgir's legacy. I believe our fans will recognize that and find something within it that truly resonates. It fits perfectly. Dimmu Borgir is a leviathan of a band on a grand scale, and we are rising once again. While the serpent represents evil to some, for us it symbolizes something else: renewal, growth, knowledge, and liberation. Shedding our skin, so to speak, and let's not forget that February 2026 marks the end of the Year of the Snake, roughly the same moment this album was completed. All right, another recording news. Apparently, while on The Metal Voice, Richie Faulkner has unveiled that Judas Priest is working on a new album. That's right, the band spent most of February. He put it as they started recording the foundation, right, laying it down. So that should be good-ass news, new Judas Priest music. But while we wait for that, remember there is a new Judas Priest documentary that was co-directed by Sam Dunn and Tom Morello. It makes its debut. And this is like, when you hear a name like this, it automatically, like, my brain shuts off a little bit when names of festivals are too long. But the annual Hot Docs Canadian International Documentary Film Festival in Toronto, from April 23rd to May 3rd is when you can check out the documentary. Kerry King has recently announced that he is working on his second solo album, and he'll start in April. Apparently, that's when he should be starting working on it. That's what I read, right? It'll be the follow-up to From Hell I Rise, which I know was an album that was kind of like, people were like, it sounded too much like Slayer. Well, it is Kerry King of Slayer. He did admit that a lot of these were leftover songs from Repentless, so it made absolute sense that it sounded like Slayer. Maybe you get your wish. And on this one, you know, he probably will have all new material that he's going to be writing, and then, you know, with the band, maybe they'll put some input into it as well. Who knows? We'll see. And I'm sure it's going to be badass. It's Kerry fucking King, right? How dare we question Kerry King? Anyways. All right, hardcore legends Propane have unleashed their second single, March of the Giants. That's right, the single is off their upcoming first album in 11 years, Stone Cold Anger. I was going to say Stone Cold Steve Austin. Anyways, the track is a song about sticking up for yourself, really. It's about telling the giants or the man or the authority or whatever to go stick it. You know what I mean? So that's what the song is about. Let's take a preview of it. All right, if you like that, check it out online. It's on YouTube everywhere. The album drops May 15th via Napalm Records. All right, Portuguese goth metal titans Moonspell. That's right, Moonspell, one of my favorite bands. I'm excited for this. Have unveiled that they have a new album out called Far From God. It will be released July 3rd via Napalm Records, and they've unleashed the title track as their first single. And Moonspell frontman Fernando Ribeiro has basically said that he lost faith in the vampire genre because Hollywood made vampires look like a joke, right? And it wasn't until 2024's Robert Eggers' masterpiece Nosferatu that he regained his faith in vampires, and in less than 24 hours, he wrote the title track. Let's take a look. Far from God. All right, if you love that, make sure you check him out. Moonspell is fantastic. I love Moonspell. I can't wait for that record to come out. All right, and our final piece of news, Darkwave Dungeon Sith Master Mortiis have unveiled a new album to be released in June titled Ghosts of Europa. If you're wondering who Mortiis is, just remember that he once played bass for Emperor. So if you have any qualms about that, just remember that. He's a badass. He goes on tour starting April 10th in Portland, Oregon, and it goes all the way to May 16th in Seattle, Washington. So make sure you check out the album. It comes out June 26th. And let's take a preview of it. All right, make sure you go and check that out. And that is going to do it for us here at Pedal TV News. As always, I appreciate every single one of you that have tuned in. And, of course, if you can, hit that subscribe button. Always stay in tune with everything we do here. I love bringing rock and metal news to all of you. So, with that being said, I will see you guys all next time. Remember, stay metal.